Thanks for being here, Jackson. Absolute pleasure to have you on. And I just want to first of all say congrats. It was too bad I couldn't go to the ClickFunnels to Funnel Hacking Live there, but I saw you winning that award, and I was super pumped for you, man. So congrats on doing that. What was the context of that award? Because I saw literally, I think in 12 months, you pulled, is it Two Comma Club X? Is that the name of that award? Two Comma Club X? And then you got a SaaSpreneur award too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what, just to start off, and a little bit of background of what you do, but I think it's always good to dive into the offers that are actually getting you there. So let's hit on one of those first. Like what was the offer that got you the Two Comma Club X reward for winning 10 million bucks, or not winning, but making $10 million?
Right. So for the Two Comma Club X award, this is for like kind of like a B2B software. And that was before I started the white label high level.
Okay.
So that's before. So but I guess like part of it is like really taking that experience of like how we sell to business owners, and then like putting it into like the high level one, which is why we're able to like accelerate the results that we're able to get with like in a like just couple of months for the high level one.
Amazing. Amazing. So what is the, because I understand, like I looked at your website, I looked at your agency website, and it's like you 100% you build conversion based funnels, which I think is so damn important, because I always say start with ugly and then make it pretty once it's actually converting. But I think so many people miss that step. They just keep it ugly, which really hurts conversions, especially when you're trying to scale. So what is the premise of the business then? Because I didn't even know you actually had a SaaS component, because you don't really talk about it anywhere publicly. Yet here you are winning these amazing awards for B2B SaaS. So tell me a little bit about that side of the business first.
Yeah, I guess like if you want to know more about that side of the story, then we have to kind of like pull back a little bit of the past journey.
For sure.
Like we started kind of like as an agency, and then at some point there comes the and I guess everyone is the same. Like you start to want to have something of your own, right? You start to want to have like ownership instead of like just like doing sales for other people, in a way.
Yeah.
So an opportunity comes for us to like partner up with a software company. So and they are in a like a B2B niche, kind of like a HR human resource kind of software. And we decided to like really just go all in. So taking our like marketing expertise, and the other partner also saw that in us. So we kind of like partner up, and then we just went all in, and then just scale it up to like 8 figure in a year, literally like just 10x the software. So during that period, I kind of disappeared from social media because personal branding is how I got my clients. And then because we went all in into the software business, I kind of stopped, and I just occasionally post some live updates and stuff like that, but with no intention of getting clients. So agency has been cruising because there's a lot of like still like old clients, current clients, like referrals. So, and that part just cruise. So, and then I just kind of like strategize and then manage a little bit, but most of the focus is on the software. So
Beautiful.
then, yeah, there comes a time when it's so huge and we decide like, we want out in a way that, because once you hit certain point, then you start to question yourself, like, is this really what you want? So we wanted to have something of our own. So we did that, and then do we want to continue keep growing that one, because by we I mean like me and my brother Reef, so we're kind of like in the business together. So and it's like we kind of felt like the agency time, that period is more fun because like we have so much freedom, so much leverage, and so it's like okay, maybe it's time to walk away. I mean, we did get results. So yeah, so then we walk away from the software,
Okay.
and I kind of like go back into like the whole funnel building world again.
Did you exit? Like, did you sell the software, or what was the story that
Yeah, we
ended
we
in?
exit the partnership. So and yeah, they're still doing super well, but we decide like, hey, maybe it's time. It's just time to move on. Like we spent like 2 years really diving into that. Yeah, and as the part of like the founders, the directors, the roles keep changing. So it was fun, but it wasn't as free, the kind of
Yeah.
fun. It became more like corporate.
Oh, okay. Because you got, well, from my understanding, it's like people, and it's again different breeds of entrepreneurs, right? And I see some people that are, I used come from a SaaS background myself. When I first kind of got into corporate, I was like working for a startup that went
Mm.
from like 20 people to almost 100 people pretty quick. And yeah, I always remember they had these stories of these people that would come in and they'd be great at getting the business to like 15 million, and then they'd exit and sell it. Right. And that was their story. And it's like, I think the thing I love that you recognize is you're like, you know what? I love getting this here, but now I want to go do something that's like more fun, that is less about like hiring and bringing C-suite people in and like really stick in my zone of genius, which I absolutely love and respect for you. So I'd love to know, like, you're going back into the, to be clear, you're diving kind of back into the agency, back into the funnel world. What's the, which is my jam. I love that space. What is the big things you're seeing across the board with clients as far as kind of what's changed since you were in it, really focused on the agency? I think that was probably a few years back. What have you seen have been some of the biggest pivots in the funnel and marketing space since then?
I guess the biggest pivot is like suddenly when I go back in, everyone is going into the low ticket. Um, Basically what you're teaching, right? I mean, like everyone
Yeah.
is going into the whole low ticket world, and I understand because like in US, in the first world country, like every I mean it all the marketing tactics just gets saturated real fast,
Yeah.
compared to our side of the world. So like for our side of the world, we're still happily using webinars and it converts. And if you go and do things like the low ticket funnels, it's not going to be as effective because like yeah, you don't need that kind of complication to make money over here. So, and I guess I see that as a huge shift because like before I left, it was the high ticket era. So everyone is doing the whole like VSL thing, the Sam Albans era, so high ticket
Yes.
calls. Yeah, I'm sure you remember those.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
then
Sam
yeah,
Evans and
I
Vince
left
Steve
for a while,
all
and
the
suddenly
time.
like everyone is like, yeah, no, the high ticket is dead. VSL is dead. Now it's the long form. Yeah, so
Yes, I definitely see that too, and it's really interesting because I had someone from Malaysia come in, and he basically just used my email sequence that I give inside my program, and he's like, "Yeah, I had like a $45,000 launch using this. Like, I just nobody's used to these types of emails over here." So it was people started like leaning in and paying attention. It goes to show that you can always take what's working in one market and like really apply it to newer markets. I think there's always a huge amount of opportunity, exactly like what you're doing, especially in the Asian market, because it's true, right? Like webinars. And I think again, my whole belief is that whenever somebody, as you said, like certain strategies get saturated, like other new ones come in. So probably right now, because the fact everyone is running like low ticket paid offers, which I love. And like, honestly, I think is the best way to actually just get people in the door. I still see like a really big piece for webinars and using these types of tools, especially when everyone in the market is trying to sell a low ticket product. Because one of the things I actually learned from Josh Gavin was he said like the best two ways to compete on an offer are either format, like how is the offer being presented, or like controversial, like what are you saying in there that is completely different and goes. And I love using this like personal development. I'll always say like fire your therapist or throw away your journal, right? Like all that stuff. And I think you nailed it on the head, which I love. So tell me, what's the big, like, you just won all these awards, which is incredible, huge milestones. Do you still have the SaaS business for on the go high level side? And is that like a core focus of where you're going? Or are you really focused now on the agency side and less on software altogether?
so the journey goes when we restarted the agency business, so it kind of get the traction back again, and then I was growing super fast on LinkedIn. Well, when I went back into the business, I decided like I want to try instead of Facebook, I want to try a new platform. So I went on LinkedIn and kind of like the shit works. So and then my brother kind of got the itch of like, yeah, I mean like what if instead of developing our own software, like and since we're back in the whole marketing world, like
Yep.
what if we just tap on high level because we were pretty early adopters of like high level like 5 6 years ago when it first came out, but it wasn't as matured. But 2 years back, they like they're growing fast, like a lot of people are jumping ships. So it's like, should we tap on our like experience and like start again? Like the only difference is that this time we don't have to manage the dev team.
Yeah,
Right now
which
we're
is
just really doing what we love, which is selling it, like marketing it, and then maybe like customer support, but that's it. We don't have to really go deep into like how the product should be developed as a whole, which is the biggest problem of all startups, the software business, right? You have the product side of things that is telling you like what you should do or whatever, and then there's the marketing side of things, like what people actually want. So it's a huge conflict. But what I love with High Level is like the market is ready for it. Like it's a all-in-one marketing tools. Like all of our previous headaches of like piecing softwares together is now gone. So
Yeah.
like really educating other business owners on this opportunity, and then with the AI coming out, so like why not? So that's
Amen.
how we went into like we started it, and then it did super well. So but right now it's not our like the super primary focus anymore. But yeah, it's like we have a few like branch of business that is just going.
Love it. What is the focus for you? I just want to understand.
That's a very good question. I didn't expect to get asked. But yeah, so we have the coaching and training side of business now, which is like really training other Malaysians or Asians or anyone, right? To I don't want to say be like me, but kind of like be like me.
Oh, it should be like
So
you, man. Absolutely. 1000%.
so the whole opportunity is really like how people like me ourselves like how can we leverage the opportunity that is overseas, right? Like all the way over there, because one thing, the foreign exchange is huge, right? So one ringgit Malaysia, I mean, no, like $1 is equivalent to like right now 0.5 ringgit. So it's like you're doing the same skill set, same kind of service, but you're serving different kind of people across the world, which are more willing to pay you and also more appreciative because overall the market is saturated in a bit. But that also means like the educational level, the understanding, everything is more sophisticated than just telling someone on the roadside what's a funnel. So yeah, that was the opportunity that I tapped on like 6 years, 7 years ago. And right now with AI, we reckon that this whole opportunity makes even more sense for anyone right now because language was a barrier. Now it no longer is.
So damn true. Yeah, especially with I use this tool like right now using it called Crisp that mutes out background noise. And I just saw as an example, one of the things they just introduced is an AI tool that basically removes accents. So if you have like a really thick accent, which I think of the use cases for like customer support, for sales, especially for people that are always, and I know this is like a common thing I've heard, and I don't personally experience it, but I've heard is that like people from other countries that have accents, they're often a little bit shy about that, especially when talking to North Americans and doing sales. And so the fact that you have these tools now, it just removes all of those mental and physical and technological barriers, right? The barrier to entry to get into a business like this has never been lower, which is incredible. Which first of all, I love that you're doing that. I think you have an incredible story of what you've done. Again, you're coming on here. You just won two incredible awards from two incredible companies. I actually want to dive into that next and really understand like what would you say, like you have grown a SaaS business. You've now grown a second SaaS business in the Go High Level space. You've grown your own agency. Looking back and seeing the patterns of what has worked, I want to dive into, first of all, what did you find that you tried that actually did not work well at all? That like everyone was saying, oh yeah, this is like the best strategy ever. Maybe it was like running some sort of ad, maybe it was running some sort of funnel, maybe it was going on some sort of platform, right? Like what was the one thing that you found, one or two things like through your journey? And if you want to focus, just because I know with SaaS it's a little bit of a different sales cycle, but even just for the funnel builder, for the agency space, and for your Go High Level SaaS, like what were the a few things that you found just absolutely bombed? And then I want to dive into the wins, but I love to hear like what did people try that everyone talks about is incredible, but then it just actually doesn't work. I've had a few of those myself.
That's a really good question. I'm afraid like I would go too deep into it and couldn't come back out. But like
No, go
we
for it. That's good.
we literally
I think
tried
that's so
everything.
important.
We tried so many things. Like I think like 6 7 years ago we did try. I pay a consultant a huge amount of money to try low ticket, and at that time it was just kind of the well, I mean, in Malaysia, we're still using webinar, and that's fine. But we know
Yep.
that webinar is kind of expensive in the States. So, and
Yeah.
then we always have that dream of like penetrating, like having more of our products into the States, like, I mean, global, right? So we hired a very expensive consultant, and then he told us to launch the low ticket funnel. And then
Yep.
that absolutely bumped, cost me six figures. And then like I don't think I ever made any kind of amount back. But
Yeah,
yeah, that was a lesson on itself. Like not everything is as easy as it seems. Like
definitely not.
and being in marketing itself like is always a trap, even nowadays, right? Where I still get FOMOs, fear of missing out, whenever someone's like with the content strategy, this and that. It's like, what am I
Yeah.
missing? Especially if you are deep into that space.
Yeah.
So yeah, low ticket absolutely bombed at that time. I tried it last year. It was okay, but I struggled a little bit because I didn't have like really high ticket on the back end, and so
Yeah.
just running the whole low ticket funnel on the front end, like breaking even, it isn't that fun because like I mean the huge money is on the back end.
Huge
So
money is on the back end. Yeah.
yeah, and not just
Amen.
from the front end ads perspective. So yeah, then I decided to stop. Yeah, what else? So the 2 days challenge, the 3 days challenge, all of those kind of like we tried all of those. Yeah, I guess like one takeaway would be there's never a perfect funnel. There's never a single funnel that would just work out of the gate. In fact, if I have to pick out, say the application funnel is something that I love best because it feels like it is evergreen. Like I can my landing page has been there for like 6 7 years. I didn't even need to touch it, and then like people still book calls all the time. So
Love that.
and then that was until I decide like okay, the trend and I align with it is that now is the no sales call era. Everyone is talking about
Yeah.
like no sales calls. Like okay, so what can I do to not take so many sales call, like those unnecessary ones? So then I decided to put my
Yep.
pricing on the page, and I'll put it like Jack High, which is yeah, that's my pricing. But instead of like trying to hide it, I just put it up front, like 4K for a single landing page. So if you want it, cool, let's talk about it. I'm willing to talk. But if no, then that's fine. There's always
Perfect.
someone better, cheaper, whatsoever. Even my students that can serve. So yeah, I hope that answers
Love
the
that, man. That
question.
was a really no, that was a fantastic answer because, even though I love low ticket, I agree with you. And it's like, I've seen this, like, I've built offers that have bombed, like, that just haven't worked. And I always see it's like they're really great for some industries. But when you're going for actually, it's kind of this interesting paradigm when there's a really specific type of client you want and you're selling a really, really high ticket service. It's either like you're doing a book or you're doing some sort of call funnel because you really, if especially if you're charging like you're doing done for you services on the back end. Now that you have a coaching program, it's a little bit different because you could literally have, kind of like a front end biz op like low ticket that I could see working really well. I've seen that as well, where it's like some people they absolutely crush it with call funnels and they do really, really well and that works for them. And some people like absolutely love the low ticket, right? And I think it's really about finding the path that works best for you. And I always say this is that you can make anything work. It's just what do you want to make work or what works best for you, right? So I love that you said that. And I found the same thing with challenges too. I hated the challenges actually. And funny enough, the big thing I'm seeing that works best for me this year is low ticket is great. And like having the evergreen micro offer that just runs 24/7 is the dream. But when I look back on last year, like the number one thing that grew my business was, and this is what I want to ask you next, is how you grew. But the biggest thing I found was just running like live workshops. So taking that webinar model, maybe putting a price tag, maybe saying there's going to be no recording and this is going to turn into a paid product. But the emphasis that it's either going to become paid or it is paid seems to work so damn well because people love to show up live and they love to actually get help on their thing and their issues. And having that live experience, like I have found, I don't know if you're talking when you say webinars like pre-recorded or live, but I find the live experiences always convert better than evergreen, like hands down. That's what I've found personally. People show up, they see me, they get help on their issues, and they're like, oh, this guy actually knows what the hell he's talking about. This is great. I'm happy to work with him, right? But I love that frame of switching to no sales calls and putting that price on the page because, yeah, too many people hide that till the very, very end of the process. And they're like, yeah, it sounds great, but I have no money. It's like, well, we just wasted 45 minutes on this call together. So I want to dive into now, though. That was a really great overview. What did you find worked best? Like, what was the thing that maybe even surprised you how well it worked? What was like one of the one or top two things that you found that you're like, oh, this is doubling down on this for the next 5 years for sure.
So, I mean, like in terms of funnels, I'd say like having a huge circle back, I still realize like webinar is one of our favorite. I wouldn't say like best because like I guess like you said, every industry is different. Like there's a lot of like nuances that we have to look at whenever we talk about marketing. So there's never the perfect one, and there's never anything that's really dead. Like even right now, like SMS is picking up, which is
Yep.
why they start implements like A2P because everyone is starting to exploit it.
Yes.
And then some people with higher budget would start going into like the physical sales letter, like the real sales letter. And
Yes.
and it works because like suddenly everyone is forgetting about it, but now everyone the nostalgic feeling comes back when they receive a physical letter. But for us, like our favorite all-time favorite is still webinar
Yep.
because it does allows us to launch fast. Like I literally just can put up a very simple sales page without trying to like having the full sales copy ready. I can just launch it, get some registrations, and then all the way until the webinar, before the webinar starts, you can still kind of like tweak it. So
Yes.
because you already have an audience. So yeah, and then well the whole like Russell Brunson's like the perfect webinar combined with a lot of different people that we'll learn from in the past and just having that structure of ourselves, and then it has proven to work again and again. So like for the software company that we exit, and then also for our like white label high level automatic sales, which is
Yep.
launched as a webinar as well, and then our own like training program is also launched as a webinar, and then we start publishing a lot of different like gurus, coaches, consultants, like real doctors, and we all use webinar, and
Amazing.
that shit works.
What is the? I have never run a webinar myself. Only run paid workshops. And I definitely want to this year. I think that there is a huge opportunity to use them and done the right way. Like I'm a huge fan of Jason Fladlin and the way he teaches
Yep.
webinars, and I can definitely see the potential of them, but I've never run one. So what would you say if you had to zone in on like one thing that makes or breaks a webinar? What would you say the most important thing?
Before like 5 years ago, like a webinar is really have to be disguised as like a how should I put it, like people have a negative feeling when they're aware a few webinars pops up, and then it's always like a free training, but it's not really a free training because people start spending like 30 minutes to 1 hour talking about their story. So and the biggest shift that we did back then 5 years ago is like when we start using webinar is like putting the lesson really up front. And also, and one thing, one even bigger shift that we do last year is like really telling them the price upfront. Like when once I mean like when the webinar starts, we have all these thing like, yes, we have something to sell you, so this is definitely not just like a storytelling session, so people wouldn't be like, can you please skip to the point, tell like blah 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 blah, right?
Yes.
And I think that's the nuances in a lot of like marketing nowadays, is because people are aware of the sales process, no matter how you hide it. And even if you did manage to hide it, like at the end of it, when they realize the sales pitch coming, it creates that negative feelings like, so this
It's
again.
just a pitch.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like rather like kind of like the low ticket concept, which is like you really have something for sale up front, or just let them know there's something for sale. Kind of like how you did your paid workshop, which is what I did as well. So yeah, you can pay this price, or you can join my coaching program, blah blah blah. But right now I want to focus on my teaching, right?
Yes.
And and
Yeah.
and that line itself, I think, is cool.
Love that, man. Yeah, that's so good. And you know what, you nailed it on the head. Why I've always been so resistant to webinars is because I used to be on those way back in the day. I haven't joined a webinar in ages nowadays, but I remember when I was, and I was going through like different biz ops and seeing these people, and it gave me what I call guru trauma, where it just like planted this idea that a webinar is like 45 minutes of storytelling and then like just a pitch at the end where you don't really learn anything or walk away with anything. And I love that you do that, which is set the frame right at the front. Yeah, I'm going to pitch you something, but I'm going to over deliver in this, and we're going to dive into it. I love that. I think that's really, really great. And then bringing the lessons forward, because I think, it's really, really interesting. I always think unless your story is extremely incredible, especially with text-based stuff, it's a little bit overused in video nowadays. And I remember this sales letter I wrote for this guy, and I had a really great copywriter come in and do like copy chief it. he's like, oh yeah, like expand out this story. And it was about he'd gone in a car crash. It was like for a trauma offer. He got in a car crash. And then he went to a Tony Robbins event and his life changed and all this stuff. And like the page just wasn't working. And I just went in and deleted that entire story section. So there was like no story and it converted right out of the gate. And I think we're getting to this point where people want to just know how the thing works. And I do think story is such a powerful tool, but used in the right way versus
Yep.
like, let's make the story not about me. Let's make the story about you.
Yep.
Right. And how this actually impacts you and can impact you, and using it as like as a proper demonstration and a sales tool, because when you demonstrate the right way, it turns into a sales tool automatically. So I think that was a great, that actually got me really excited to do webinars. So thank you for sharing that, because I'm like, yeah, if I can just kind of take this format and run it, it's going to be so much fun and so much easier. That's really cool. So when you are coaching students, because I think that's like one of the big things you mentioned you're wanting to do more, like, what do you think the biggest thing when you see people entering this market where they're like, maybe they haven't worked with clients before, maybe they've only worked with a few clients. What do you think the big thing is that really holds a lot of people back from actually exponentially growing? Like, what are the common things that you see that really get in their way that they just need to like clear away or start doing or stop doing? Like, what are the core things that you see with your clients?
I think in the market, like if we were to like zoom back out, what we're teaching is essentially like teaching people to freelance, right? Or start an agency or a solo agency, whatever you call it. And the biggest problem with that is people buys into biz ops thinking they want to make more money, but a lot of time they are not really committed mentally yet to really do it. Like they still have that easy money, quick money kind of mindset, which only happens in money game, like or scam.
Yeah.
But you have to like really get scammed, get hurt before you would like have that huge mental shift and really decide to go all in. So for all the students that have results, they definitely like got through that. I mean, or at least they last long enough to get to see that first sale and everything change. Because I think that's the most important part is because like if you do it while doubting it, you're gonna give up like really really fast. But if you really have that belief that, and I forgot who said that, but if you look at the goals and objectives as a huge goal and just keep thinking like you want to do it, it's hard because every day you wake up, it kind of resets and then the mountain seems like higher or at least like stagnant. But
Yes.
if you're able to break up down like what is necessary for you to do every day so that getting that outcome is like no question, then you just wake up and just kind of like treat it like a to-do list and then just do it. So it is a bit like cringe to say this, but it's really like the do it mindset. Like a lot of people just don't have that sink in enough.
Yeah. No, I see that too. And that makes a lot of sense. It typically, it's the least sexy thing in the world, but it's the most important, which is actually having the long-term view. I think that is the personally, I believe this is the worst part of society with social media, is that it's so easy to get instant gratification by opening up your phone. Like, I can feel distracted in within 5 seconds just picking up my phone, right? When it comes to actually business and building something impactful, it might take years before you actually see anything incredible happen. And I know with me, like I think it took me I think like 3 or 4 years before I had like really consistent income online. Like it wasn't, there was times I was making like $1,500 a month, right? Like running ads for one client. And that's how I got my start. And I just was, luckily I was able to push through that. And I had the best girlfriend, now wife, who was just like, you got this, keep it going, keep it going. And she saw the future even when I didn't. And that's like the biggest thing, is you got to be able to push through the hard times and just keep going, because there's always going to be a dip. And the dips will keep happening too. Like I notice them too, even at this level that I'm at. I'm like, oh, here, there's another dip. The only thing I know I love is I got this quote from Tony Robbins that I heard on a podcast, that whenever that happens and you hit the plateau, you just say like, it's great to see you. I've been looking for you. Like, this is wonderful. Now it's like, okay, let's dive in and get to work, right? And I love that frame, because rather than it being a negative thing where you hit like a plateau or you start decreasing even a little bit, it's like it becomes this positive force where you're like, okay, great. Like this is part of it. This is showing that we're growing, right? Because with every growth, you need to always it always goes like this, right? Like, and I've noticed this all the time with revenue. It's like up more and then down a little bit, and then up more and then down a little bit, right? And I think when you see that trajectory happening for yourself, it just takes off, but you need to invest the time and the energy to actually get there, which is amazing frame. When you're working with your clients, what is the big thing that you tell them? Like you have this to do this. Like what are the big things like that you say, hey, these are the one or three things that you need to prioritize every single day?
So like a lot of people have skills.
Yep.
Like I mean, there's always two sides of like I would say students. So some already have existing skills. Some is like completely new, like they know computer, but that's all.
Yep.
So like for those who are just starting, of course, like I give them the principle on the teaching, the content of like what's really easy to start, and then like for those who have skill, like the real skill and the evergreen skill is to learn how to get clients. So, and in this case, like how to get clients online. So because like you are here because you chances are you don't want to go door knocking or like standing in the middle of the mall asking people for like insurance leads and stuff like that, right? So then learning how to get sales online, and it's really not as scary because chances are you don't have to call them, and if they do hop on a call with you, then the chance of like closing is way much higher. So mastering
Absolutely.
that ability to attract clients, and I love the inbound method, so like the personal branding method. So like just putting yourself out there, putting out like good contents to attract, build trust, build relationship, engage. As boring as it sounds, like works. So like engage with people, so that because for the newcomers into this world, you have nothing, then the only thing that you have is time. So, and this is where you invest the time to build relationships, to build up your skill sets. And then through time, these skill sets will start to return money to you, which is when you can start to decide like, hey, do you want to go further or is this just good enough? If this is good enough, that's great. But if you want to go further, then hey, maybe you want to decide like you want to build a team or whatsoever to scale the business and really like go all in on that.
Yeah. And soon it'll just be a bunch of AI agents.
Yeah.
The team building will get a lot less scary when I'm always interested to see that when they talk about the 20-person billion-dollar company, and I'm very curious to see. That's very very close, and we're
Very
getting
close.
closer and
Very
closer,
close.
right? Yeah, it's incredible. What would you like? And this actually brings up a great question on the AI side, because I see that a lot of like freelancers and copywriters and even agency owners, like people like myself, are starting to get more worried. And I have a very optimistic view about AI. I believe that AI is a tool and ideally it's going to like work closely with us. I literally just listened to a billionaire talk, and he couldn't like when he was asked on this podcast, well, like what are you doubling down on with AI? And he's like, I don't know, like local community events, like everything's just going to get automated, right? Like completely other side where everyone's going to get fired and AI is just going to be running everything. What is your stance on this, and how do you think that like people that are maybe new to this or even like growing that feel like, oh my gosh, AI can just literally do what I do, can really still make a dent in the market and keep growing as like a service provider? Because I think that there's a lot of people that have uncertainty around this. And again, I have my belief. I think I'm really bullish, but I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are, especially when it comes to AI and when you're trying to help someone sell something that they think like I could just do this, right?
I forgot to mention like one of the part of the reason why we decided to exit the software is also because there was kind of like the early launch of ChatGPT, the AI. So that's when we saw like, hey, now this whole AI thing is going mass market. Is consumer accessible with, I mean, and it's free. So and if we're stuck doing something that is not related, then we're gonna like really miss out a lot because like, and we can see and it's proven that the AI is developing like so fast that I couldn't catch up myself, and
Yeah.
every day I'm still testing new software and see, but
Yep.
I'm super positive with AI mainly because like it really does like help removes a lot of barrier like you said. So whether it's like videos, audios, like, and in this market copywriting, So now you can have decent copywriting with AI if you know how to prompt. So obviously, I think the caveat is that those who get stuck in the middle should fear the most, because that means they are usually replaceable with AI. Why? Because like the ability to use AI itself is an ability, is a skill. So for you to be able to get good copywriting out of it, whatever prompt that you obtain, still require you to understand what is good copy. And that means like the junior copywriters would still be required to be in the execution mode, just to kind of like generate a couple of good drafts and whatsoever. And then it still takes like the real senior copywriters to be able to tell like, hey, this is good, hey, this is shit. And then
Yes.
those who get stuck in the middle, well, if you can't move up, then you can only move down, because now you are in the income bracket that no one wants to pay.
Yes.
Like now people wants to pay like low price for junior because they are junior, right? Or they want to just go straight and pay more money for someone that is already like expert specialist, instead of someone just in the middle generalist, like I can do everything but I I'm not good.
Amen.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's my stance on like AI wouldn't replace, like most of the jobs would still exist, but you either get super good at it or you just find other ways out. Because if you still get comfortable being where you are, then chances are an AI agent is going to take over you pretty soon.
Definitely. I think that was actually a great point you brought up, and it reminded me of that. It's like that 70% coding rule where AI can get you like 70% of the way there, but if you're not a developer and you're trying to build an app with AI, like you're going to hit a wall at some point, right? Like it's just
Mm.
most people do, and that's why it's like this 70% rule is what I've heard. And I think that that's such an excellent point. It's like if you want to be really good and you're committed, it's like there's going to always be space for the people that are at that level and playing at that high level, and then there's probably going to be space for the people that are below that are just clicking the buttons on the agents, right? Or monitoring the agents, or not really doing too much there. But that middle road is definitely getting fizzled out. And yeah, I think it's, again, always good new technology, I think can be great for humanity, especially because it allows us to move faster and grow faster. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next like 10 years, how fast all this stuff is moving, even 5 years. But right now, I think that it's a phenomenal opportunity. Like if you're actually committed and serious and you want to get good, like it's a really, really great place. And I love it. Like I hire, for me, like I have a few overseas VAs, and the level that they're able to execute at now, just simply because of AI, like, and saying, hey, like one of them, as an example, has ridiculously great English doing all of our support emails. And it's because he's using an AI tool to help with that, right? Same with video editing, same with copywriting, like all of those things. And again, I'm a huge bullish. I think like growth is necessary for humans and society. If we stop growing, we're dying. And I think AI is going to like do some incredible things and hopefully like solve some incredible problems. That's what I'm hoping. But you never
Yeah,
know,
it's
right?
it's
That's the
solving a
future.
lot of problems right now. So it's just for
Yes.
who. So and that's why I don't want to miss out on the whole this AI trend, because the only way to really make money in this world is by riding on a trend. So
Yeah.
whether it's the coaching trend, whether it's the crypto trend, and right now it's the AI trend, and it's always going
Yes.
only going to stay, and it's moving like at the highest speed possible compared to all the previous evolution. Yeah. I mean, like
I completely agree.
people fear, I mean, like some business owners, I guess when AI start, they fear the team to use AI, as in like, why are you using AI? But like I say, like AI is the ability to use AI. If they can use it, why not? Because you are paying for the results. You're not paying for the time. And if they can do things much faster, that means they can do more. So why not?
Yes, so damn true, right? It allows you to execute so much quicker. And it's like I'm using because I'm launching this ads program right now and building a whole new course out. And so what I did is I spent yesterday basically outlining everything, and then went to AI and said, okay, can you help me like make the assignments? Can you help me like format the slides better? Like these are my rough notes. Like, can you actually like turn it into a polished format with this frame? And it did a pretty good job, so that it saved me all of that time, probably like a day's work of doing all that. And that just bought me an extra day. Right. And I love anything that allows us to get back our time. Right.
Yeah.
Especially tools like this where we can just click buttons and make it happen. I'd love to dive in and really respect your time here. And I want to be mindful, but you have some incredible design skills. Like you've been designing and building funnels for ages. I'd love you to hit on this because this is one thing I've just started playing with. I started playing with gradient colors as an example. I normally get my team to build everything, right? But I'm like, ooh, what if I make a gradient here? It looks pretty. And so I want to understand like from when you go and you scope out a page. First of all, I'd love you to actually like walk through what does a good design process look like for you when you're building your own funnels or websites or client funnels or websites. Like, what does that look like? Is it you coordinating with the copywriter? Is it like the design comes first? Like, how does that all flow together? And I would love to just start there because you come from an agency background, pumping these things out for some incredible names too, like Frank Kern. And I saw Natasha from School of Bots. That's like a throwback for me because we went through the same bot academy program 7 years ago when I just got started, and a few other huge people too. I know that I think Meg Dillard and Frank Kern. Like it's incredible the people you've worked with. So clearly, you know what you're talking about when it comes to funnel design and building. What does that process look like? Just to start there, of when you're actually like scoping out a funnel and saying, okay, we're going to design this and make this look great. What does that look like?
So I usually start with like really understanding what's the purpose of the page. So whether it's a website, if it is a website, chances are we're talking about like the homepage. So by most cases, it's the landing page of a specific funnels. So what is the purpose of the page? Like who would be landing on the page? And I guess a very good question everyone always asks or not dare to ask is like whether design comes first or design or copy comes first. So in my process, I would say like if copy is not provided, then I definitely have to have like some kind of bare bone structure in terms of like what kind of sections do I want to have. So the process section, for example, the how it works, testimonials, showcasing credibilities and stuff like that. One thing that I really capitalized the shit out of it 7 years ago and kind of like brought me to where I am is like the ability to create that first section because whether it's on mobile, whether it's on desktop, that is the only section that 100% people will see if they get to the page. If you look at a heat map, anything below the first fold starts dropping, but the first fold will
Yes.
always get the 100%. So get that right, and clients will love you, visitors will love you, or at least as an agency, you get sales. But then I guess also like really understanding because we went really deep into like understanding marketing, how to sell stuff. We try to sell our own stuff, things like that. So combining the design taste of the web design world, the old web design world, and then 7 years ago, funnels were super ugly. So like the click funnels when I first stepped into the world, I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. The Frank Kern convert book was the classic example of that.
Yeah, and then yeah, it's so bad, but and it feels so salesy. So
Yes.
and what I brought to that to the world, at least what I want to think of myself is that how can I combine something that is like brandable, like trustworthy, and still sell? So I remember like back in 2020, right before the pandemic hit globally, I went to Funnel Hacking Live for the first time. So, and being an attention seeker, introverted attention seeker, I printed a shirt that says, I design landing pages that doesn't look like, and then I put a ClickFunnels logo. So,
That's
and
beautiful.
that was kind of like my angle, right? So I designed for like direct response industry, sales industry, but not that typical design that most people see back in the days. Then I mean nowadays everyone is catching up, so most of the designs are like decent. But back in the days, like you can tell, like when I look at a page, it's like, oh damn, this is ClickFunnels, and
Yeah.
it
Right
immediately
away.
gives me that negative feeling, and so I wanted to change that.
Yeah. It's as soon as people see a pattern, they immediately tune out too. And this is why I always try to make each page look slightly different because if your offer looks the same as somebody else's, they immediately in their mind subconsciously say, I've seen this before. And then they immediately tune out, which is where I really believe that design is critical with scaling because it's like, yeah, start with a bare basic page and just see if it works, right? Like test the offer,
Hmm.
right? If the offer starts converting and you're really wanting to scale it, then go make it really pretty, make it one of its own because you know that messaging will convert and putting really good design principles behind that will make it convert even better, right? And so I love that frame. What is you mentioned something which is so damn true about the hero section that most people, well, 100, oh, that's the only spot on the page that 100% of people will see. What is your secret sauce for making a really good hero section that like converts better? Like, and you probably have some great data on this, but like, what have you found that like, oh, I made this change and this converted significantly better because of it?
Well, we could go really deep into that, but if I were to generalize, like, I had a very fun study when it comes to like, color branding wise. So, for
Very interesting.
example, I guess one of the things that people like to ask is like, should I go white or should I go dark? So, and I used to have a sales page, a webinar page that was in the dark theme, and at some point I decided to try to really just split test it, and then I made it white. So and I ran it, and then the white one just converts better. So it's
Definitely.
like, oh
Yep.
shit, okay. So but black looks cool. Like if you look at like all the SaaS, a lot of them started off as black, but eventually they all moves to white and clean because it does reduce like some the noise, the cognitive load on your brain and whatsoever. But it does looks nice.
Well, I
So
will tell you, just a side note on that. So I learned from Gary Bencivengo way back in the day that he tested that too with direct mail and print, and he always said like white on black converts better, and white with black text converts better.
mhm.
And if you think about it, like if you go to Facebook or you go to any of these platforms, they're all white with black text, and I think it's because people are used to reading that. And I always say, and I'll let you finish. I just wanted to point this out because it's so critical. And I think what you just said is so important. If you just do that, I bet your conversions will increase. Because I see people do these like weird colors for their header. And I'm like, no, imagine like drunk grandpa hits your page. Like that's my frame. Like I just imagine like drunk grandpa hits your page, right? Like they're used to reading CNN. They're used to reading these news sites. Like right? Pretty much. I think the only one that is black on my feed is Twitter. That's the only, or X now, because, Elon, I'm making it darker colors for whatever reason. But yeah, if you go on like LinkedIn, you go on Facebook, you go on Instagram, they're all like white, black text. And so if that's the native format people are used to reading, like even Kindle books for the most part, like, I mean, they do have an
Yep.
option, but everyone's used to that. And so that was such a great point you brought up because it's so damn true. And I think a lot of people forget this, but it's such an easy conversion boost. So sorry to cut you off. Continue. I just wanted to
No
interject with
worries.
that because it's so
So
critical.
yeah, and then if we were to really generalize, I would say like the hierarchy is super important. So not to pick on like whatever design style because like style is still style, but like the visual hierarchy, like the headline should be super clear, and for me the button should be super clear. So and not to get blend in like most other like software companies like they have the button really small. But one thing that I like what the direct response industries has been doing is like we always have a bit big or vibrant or like just a button that really stands out because a button should always looks like a button. Whether they want to click or not is another story. But yeah, just playing with the hierarchy and visual hierarchy is really simple. It's really just like the sizes to start with. So headline should be really big, really clearly big, and then the body paragraph text should be easily readable but not necessary. And then for the hero, what I would always like is to at least just have some kind of image to as whether it's a left or right or whether it's as a background because like pictures speaks a thousand words. So if you do have an image that can kind of like encapsulate what you are trying to present or just get the attention, well, then you have won at least the first battle of the war.
So to be clear, you have a headline, big headline, maybe some description text because this is like, I'm like, oh, I should go test my page with this. I love that. And then you typically on the right or the left hand side of that text, you either have an image there, like as part of the background of the hero section, right? And do you like, I'm assuming you fade the image a little bit so the text is really readable.
Yep.
And are you talking like a full background image with like a color across it, or do you basically just have like kind of an image that complements the hero?
It could just be an image that complements the hero. So you could do like a two column. So left, I mean, the headlines is on the left and then the image is
Yeah.
on the right. But
Oh, interesting.
what's
Okay.
really important is like just having that image. So like, for example, if it is a selling a product, which is why e-com product, the first image is always like so important. So using that same principle across like whatever projects that we do, we always try to capitalize on like at least having an image on the people can see because why not?
That's great. It's funny you say ecom because I always think like ecom companies have the like direct response people can get so lazy, like ecom people are so dialed in. And I remember this, I was looking at this product for our daughter, and they had like the most interactive e-commerce store landing page. Like it was like you could click all these different buttons, and it was just like the page actually felt like an experience. And that always brought me the question, like, how can I start creating pages that feel like experiences rather than just a landing page? And I feel like at the next generation of the sales page is going to be adding in like interactive elements. I've seen people do this where even little things, like I saw one person that they had a button to like reveal the full page below. I saw another person that has like carousel images that you can click through, little things like that. But I swear that like little bit of interaction on the page just gets a little bit of subconscious buy-in to like read more of the message. And I love kind of the frame on that of like having the images and just creating a little more interactive. That's going to be my future testing anyway. I'll get there in the future. But Jackson, this has been great, man. Thank you so much for doing this. It's so incredible. So where can people go and find out more about what you're doing, or if they're interested in working with you, like what's the best place to go to? And I'll make sure these are in the show notes
So
too.
like Instagram is good. Instagram, so the handle will be the Jackson Yew. And
Yep.
then of course there's my personal website, jacksonyew.com, or Facebook, send me a friend request. I may not be able to see it, but if I do, then yeah, that's where the friendship starts. But thanks for having me. This has been fun.
Cool. I was gonna say, like, that is, I love the big Spider-Man. I can tell you're a big Marvel guy.
Yeah,
I love the old Marvel movies anyway. I haven't seen the new Captain America, but I was a fan of like the original. I think I was listening to Business Wars, and there's a really good director creator of Marvel that like left or something, and I'm not sure the full story, but yeah, I can see all the movies behind you, and I'm like, yeah, those bring back some incredible memories.
yeah,
So I
just
love the
this
studio
is the
setup.
time where I just kind of like geek out and fulfill some kind of like childhood dream because I didn't have the money.
Amen, man.
So now that I have, like, this is where dreams come true.
Man, that's freaking awesome. Well, I'm so pumped for you, and I'm so happy for you. And yeah, again, buying the Ferrari, beautiful move, especially when you probably were very similar. I always wanted a Lamborghini, and now I want a minivan. But
Yeah.
one day I might for fun. We'll see. Just if the
Everyone should like
timing.
have get it like I mean, like, for practical reason, of course, like Ferrari is never the most practical choice, but it always have that
Yeah,
good like memories of like, oh, at least I had that. So
man. Well,
this is one of those
it's an
time.
experience, right? It's
It
it's an
is.
experience, and you know what? Like when you hit certain milestones, like you have to reward yourself, and if that's the way you want to reward yourself, it's your money. Absolutely, go have fun, go enjoy it, right? Like
Yeah.
that's super pumped for you, super excited for you, and super excited to see the next decade together here. So thanks so much for coming on. We'll definitely have to have you back, but for now, I'll make sure everyone's got your details in the show notes if they want to follow along. Cheers, man.
Thanks for having me.